Hi Lauren.
Hi.
Welcome to Carlsen Verlag. We are very happy you came to Germany for a visit.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
I've got a box of questions and we'll soon draw all the questions. My name is Carsten. I'm Lauren's German editor. So are you ready for this?
I'm so ready. Let's dive in. Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely try to write, well, I don't exactly write from the beginning forward. I actually usually write the first chapter and the last chapter, and then I write and bridge them, and then I go in consecutive order. But it helps me to have the last chapter figured out because it helps me I always think of it in terms of a sports analogy, that you have to define where the field is before you begin to play. So it really helps me know kind of what the end goal is. But then, yes, then I write straight through. No, it was planned. It was planned. I mean, as I said, I actually, write the first and the last chapter of each book right away. But actually, when it came to Delirium, I had always conceived of it. I'd hoped that it would become a trilogy. So I actually had the endings figured out, not just to Delirium, but also to Pandemonium and to Requiem. Everything else that happened was somewhat of a surprise. For example, in Requiem, there was a character who's supposed to die who just refused to die. So other elements were definitely a surprise, but I did know that Alex would come back. It was not just because my fans threatened to kill me if I didn't bring him back, which many of them did. So. That's a really hard question for a lifelong lover of books to answer, as I'm sure you can sympathize with.
Yes.
I discover new favorite books literally every year. I think that's one of the greatest pleasures of reading, is that there's constantly people doing new and great things. So I can't really answer that. I loved as a child, I will say that some of my favorite books were Matilda, Wind in the Willows. I love the Harry Potter series, who doesn't? And of recent years, I really love Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie, and I love The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. I love ghost stories, so those are all favorites, but again, I'm always discovering new favorites. Well, I was definitely inspired by certain people I know. Actually, the name of the main character, Magdalena, it comes from one of my closest friends, whose name is Magdalena. She really wanted me to write a book featuring her name because she said that the only books with characters named Magdalena were books about Polish housekeepers. So she wanted me to write a character that was full of vitality and really became a heroine. So that's where I came up with the name. And some of her characteristics are similar. And then, in terms of Hannah and the relationship between Lena and Hannah, that's one of my favorite elements of Delirium, and I think that anybody who's gone through high school has had the experience of having a friend who just seems so cool and perfect and full of life, and you kind of have the experience of feeling both envious and proud to have been chosen, and all of those dynamics that sometimes come out in female friendships. And I've definitely had female friends that I felt that way about. So I was inspired by certain of my friendships, I would say, although nobody is drawn directly from real life. Alex, unfortunately, comes from just my own imagination.
He was going to.
Yeah. Sleeping, as I've talked about many times. I love to sleep. No, how do I spend my free time? Well, first of all, this is really dorky, but I really love to write. So when I'm not writing a book that I'm under contract to write, I reward myself by writing something else. So I write for hours every day. I also read, of course. I make time to read every day. I think that's really important. I love to run. I love to dance to strange Justin Bieber videos I find online. I love to do anything physical, hiking, horseback riding, pretty much anything, swimming. And other than that, I just love spending time with my friends, my family, my fiance. I love to cook meals. So my ideal day is like running, writing, reading, cooking a big meal, drinking wine, and then going to sleep really early. I mean, the thing is, I think that's an interesting question, because I think that all stories and characters that you create as a novelist have similarities to your private life. Even if there's, for example, in Delirium, it's speculative fiction, meaning we don't live in a world where love is a contagious disease. However, it's not that hard to imagine, you know, humans are humans no matter what kind of time period, no matter what historical circumstances, and all humans kind of want one of several basic things, I believe. And so it's relatively easy to project yourself forward into the shoes of somebody else, even if superficially they have no similarities to you. And I think that in many ways, novels are like dreams, in that all of the characters are you, even if they wear different faces. So I actually don't think that I've ever really written a book that doesn't have similarities to my life. I think it has to, otherwise it wouldn't interest you as a writer. You wouldn't be able to write it. You would have no compulsion to put those words on the page. Well, it's actually a funny story. I get a lot of my ideas when I'm on the treadmill, when I'm working out. So I was actually at the gym, this was several years ago. And it was actually during a time where there was a big panic in New York, where I'm from, about the swine flu, or maybe it was the bird flu. I don't remember. There seemed to be many flu panics going on at the time. And in New York, this really created a huge sensation, even though ultimately nothing really happened. Nobody died. It's kind of disappointing. Just kidding. But I remember thinking at the time how difficult it is to gain access to information that isn't biased, to unbiased information. I mean, you're really at the mercy of basically whatever is being portrayed to you by the media, and specifically how easy it is to be driven to fear certain things are going to happen, to fear these pandemics. And at the same time, I don't know why, but I was starting, because I've been thinking about writing a book about love. I wanted to write a book about love. So I was thinking about love, I was thinking about disease, and then I started thinking about the fact that if you looked at the symptoms of romantic love, especially passionate love, it has so much in common with the psychiatric disorders we normally treat with medication. And so that's how I came up with the idea. And actually, in fact, scientists do feel that romantic love, I mean, chemically, romantic love, passionate love, looks very similar to certain forms of mania that you would treat with, like, lithium. So. I'm not a very girly person in that many ways. I pretty much wear jeans and a t-shirt. I have my fancy sweatshirts when I want to dress up. But the higher the better, the more feathers the better, glitter when it comes to shoes. That's my indulgence. And also then it's great because you have an excuse to take cabs everywhere, because you literally cannot walk in your shoes. So
that's comfortable.
Yeah. I love this question. I'm such a big Christmas girl. I'm such a fangirl. First of all, I'm like the Santa Claus of my whole family, so my Christmas tradition is that I show up with gifts for everybody. But yes, we have a ton of traditions, actually more and more traditions every year. But I have an ever-growing family because I'm engaged now, so on the 23rd, my family has our first Christmas Eve party. Then the 24th, his family has a Christmas Eve party in Queens. On Christmas Day, we eat smoked fish for breakfast, and then my sister and I go for a long walk and we cook a traditional Christmas paella, which isn't that traditional. And then we also have a post-Christmas Christmas on the 26th with my father, and we go to see a movie and go out to dinner. So I actually have 4 Christmas celebrations in a row, and I love each and every one of them, so I'm very excited. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.